I have lived on the earth for 67 years, and I have never come across another podcast series regarding the National Football League with such quality as this one. Enjoy, my friends.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am Alex Salad. Welcome to the Sports Pro Football Podcast Radio Show.
Joining me is a kitten named
Joining me is my best friend, the most good-looking man I know, Thomas, and then we have Tony.
I guess.
And then we have our wonderful editor, Twizzler.
Oh, wonderful. It's kind of stretch. No, I'm kidding.
Dang,
he's like,
I make a better Alan than Alan does.
Just kidding. Just kidding. I love
I make
Tristan.
a better Alan than you do.
All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Oh, all right.
Hello, my son.
I'm sorry, it was just kind of funny because he was like,
3, 2, 1, and we're go. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Today is Tuesday, November 1st, and this is a very historical day because this is the first podcast, Pro Football Talk, where all we talk about is pro football. Hello, friends. My name is Alec, and I'm joined by my two very good friends here, Tony and Thomas.
I just have to point out where he's like the Pro Football Talk, and then like, Pro Football. Like, wow, did you figure that by yourself?
Yeah. Okay, let's do that again. Okay, here we go. All right, 3, 2, 1. Hello, friends. Welcome. No, okay. I tried to figure out.
Hello, my sons.
I thought we were already in.
Okay. 3, 2, 1. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the first, hopefully, of many podcasts here, Pro Football Talk, where you guessed it, all I talk about is pro basketball. No, seriously, pro football.
I was so into you guessed it, pro football, and then he's like pro basketball, like so fucking casual. We're gonna have this fucking reel of just shit that we didn't go into the podcast. It's gonna be fucking epic.
It's just because he was like, so serious that was actually it. And it's like when you think you get something for Christmas and you don't.
It seems so obvious, and then you open it, it kind of blindsides you. Like you think it's a dog, and it turns out it's a fucking armadillo.
Wait, what?
That's kind of how it was.
Are we still talking about football?
It's still a sport. I mean,
we still talking about football?
I know, like for Christmas, it's like
an armadillo.
Yeah, like it's a puppy, but you think it's a puppy, but in reality, it's an armadillo.
Who the fuck? It's an armadillo.
Godzilla. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna do that again.
Sorry,
but don't crack up. I'm gonna do that same thing. So
no, don't, because I'm gonna crack up. I'm telling you now.
Try it again, Alec.
Do it again. Okay. 3, 2, 1. Hello, friends. Welcome to the first, hopefully, of many podcasts, Pro Football Talk, where you guessed it, all we talk about is pro basketball. I'm Alex, here joined by two very esteemed colleagues, Tony and Thomas. Also, the man behind the scenes, Tristan, the man who edits and puts it all together for everyone to watch. So, Tony and Thomas, you guys want to say some words to our new viewers on this first podcast?
That's all I got.
Tony.
I don't know what to say.
That's good. So, before we jump into the actual segments, we'll give you the latest news around the NFL coming out of today. Today was the last day of the NFL trade deadline, and some signings were made. Recently cut Packers running back Nile Davis, signing with the Jets for a couple hours, as the Jets did release him, and they signed C.J. Spiller to their roster. Also, coming out of retirement today, this is kind of interesting because Percy Harvin came out of retirement today. Came out of retirement today to play with the Buffalo Bills again. And then, like I mentioned earlier, the trade deadline was today. Nothing really exciting
All right, well,
came out.
Alec, you mentioned like the trading deadline. Do you think it's like I think we should talk about like the players who should have been traded. They weren't traded.
That
You know what
weren't
I'm saying?
traded. Yeah.
Yeah, because honestly, like I wouldn't really want him to go anywhere else. But Darren McFadden, honestly, he should get traded just for the reason being that I want to see him succeed because I'm a big fan of his. I want to see him succeed, and I don't think he'll succeed behind Ezekiel Elliott and Alfred Morris, who are probably going to start over him regardless. I think he can start over Lance Dunbar, but then again, he's still going to be third string. So honestly, I think he should have been traded somewhere else, just so like he can get back on track because he said he's healthy now. He said he's feeling a lot better, but it's just a matter of time, and especially since Ezekiel Elliott is just absolutely tearing it up, and then you have Alfred Morris, the second string, who's a good reliable backup, also playing. So I think Darren McFadden should have been traded. I think
Sure.
we'll give him a bigger opportunity into a different team.
Can't go wrong with that. As Tony, you were a big Darren McFadden fan last year, and I slept on Darren McFadden so hard.
Mm-hmm.
He really had an underrated season, 1,000 yards rushing with the Cowboys, and he had a really nice year with Dallas. But then, the injury came along, and Zeke came along, and it spelled the end for Darren McFadden. But
Honestly,
some recent news came out before the deadline involving the Dallas Cowboys and the New Orleans Saints. The Cowboys apparently were called by the New York Jets regarding defensive lineman Sheldon Richardson. Possibly could have been traded to Dallas, but another thing really came up. Obviously, also the Cowboys were interested in the Dolphins defensive end Cameron Wake.
wow.
Tony, you playing on defensive line, you certainly know how important the line is. Talk about the kind of impact that these two players possibly could have had on a young Dallas defensive line.
Well, Cameron Wake is more of a defensive end, and but his, like you were talking about earlier. Well, when we were talking earlier, Sheldon Richardson only had 1 year left on his contract, but we need that defense alignment, like the defense alignment in the middle, just wreaking havoc, And so I think I really wanted Sheldon Richardson. When I saw that they were possibly trading him to the Cowboys, I got really excited, and I thought, man, we could get him. But that unfortunately did not happen. So, oh well.
Right, yeah. I could agree. I think both of them would have been a big help to a Dallas defensive line that really kind of was underrated and has played really well this year. But the news regarding the New Orleans Saints, the Saints almost pulled off a trade with the Browns to acquire cornerback Joe Hayden. I personally would have loved this trade.
Wow.
I would have loved having Joe Hayden with Delvin Breaux at corner. That would have been really, really a good thing for the Saints secondary. But I guess the price was too high for Sean Payton and crew, and they stayed smart because they just recently got out of the salary cap situation with Drew Brees spreading his money out. So in the end, I guess the decision to stay out of it probably worked out better for New Orleans. And so let's talk about last night's game on Monday Night Football. I think we all saw uh, how disappointing the Vikings were last night. They lost 10-20 at Chicago on Monday Night Football. Um, Tony, you want to hop in and talk about what went wrong for the Vikings, or
You know,
or what went right for the Bears?
um, it's a little bit of both. I'm gonna start with mistakes. Because you can fix mistakes. If you're doing something good, just keep doing it. But with the mistakes, you need to learn where you're going wrong. So I'm gonna say where they were going wrong. Um, I think they should have acquired just at least one tackle because Sam Bradford, like, he's not a good quarterback. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying he's a good quarterback, like a great quarterback. He's at average at best. But if you don't have any blocking whatsoever from those tackles, which he doesn't get, he doesn't get any blocking. It's just gonna be one long night, hit after hit. It's hard to get that ball off. Running it and throwing it. So I think that's what really went wrong. And people say the defense was very like under. It didn't show up today. It was underwhelming. But in all honesty, you can't just rely like defense needs momentum. I play defense and I know I've seen it. You need and that offense gets the ball. You have to have confidence. And whenever you see them go like a 3-and-out and they get just clobbered, you kind of get this little panic. You get a little panic. You could say you don't, but you actually do. You start feeling like, oh wow, they're pretty good. Kind of like you try to then you have to think where you should have been thinking you had to have this mentality of no matter what happens, you had to come out there and throw the first punch. And they just were. I guess they were just too don't want to say it, but they were scared.
Yeah, scared is definitely the word, considering it was Halloween night between the Purple People Eaters and the Monsters of the Midway, and this was a game where the Bears had over 400 yards of total offense, which that's mind-boggling right there in itself. And Tony, I guess you would know considering you had this guy on your fantasy bench. But man, Jordan Howard, what a night he had! Over 200 yards of total offense. Just talk about Howard and how good he was against a very good Viking defense.
Hmm. And that's where I was gonna say where they went right. Not with the running game itself, but you come in there, and you just you focus on the fundamentals, doing the little things right, and that's where it really killed Minnesota. They just weren't doing these little things that were just adjust. They couldn't adjust, and that's where the Chicago beat it. They had they were like, we're gonna do it everything like we're supposed to do. Like we're gonna be in sync. We're gonna go everything by the book, and we're just gonna take it slow. And they did, and it paid off. You could see it. Like the scoreboard doesn't show it, but if you look at total yards, and then the outcome was still a win. Like you could tell that the Bears were just rolling. They were all on the same page, and that's just great to see from a team, especially a
Right.
struggling team like the Bears.
Yeah, 2-6 definitely is struggling. Thomas, me and you were talking about this earlier, but Jay Cutler himself had a pretty solid game considering what Jay Cutler, you know, has been, has been known to do in the past. He had a very solid game, didn't turn the ball over at all.
Mm-hmm.
Just give your thoughts on what a game Cutler had.
Okay, so I was watching the pregame show, and they're saying with Jade Cutler coming back, he has basically 9 weeks left to audition to play for another team, and I think that he kind of like showed a little bit, but he didn't show enough to maybe go to another team. I think he should probably stay with Chicago just because that's where I can see him. I can't really see him with like another team. I can't really see him with like the Jets or Kansas City or just like a different team. I can't. The way I see Jay Cutler is in that Chicago starting offense, and I think he did well. He didn't do great or outstanding. Obviously, great the in the sense that he didn't turn the ball over, but I thought he did well. he probably could have done better because it is Jay Cutler. He probably an underrated quarterback. He used to be a lot better. But I think he could have done better.
Yeah, and talk about an okay night for Cutler. He finished 20 of 31 with 252 yards and 1 touchdown. Like I'll go back to what Tony said. Minnesota's offense, it all started with the offensive line. After allowing 8 sacks to the Eagles 2 weeks ago, since Sam Bradford was running around for his life again against the Bears, Matt Asiata was leading rushing point 42 yards on 14 carries, and it all starts with the guys up front. If you have a good offensive lineman up front, they keep your quarterback up. It's a good thing for your team because you can do everything. And it's just like Minnesota has not had that. They're trying to trade for or some linemen for deadline, but that obviously did not work as they are pretty tight with the salary cap situation. And going off of Monday night, guys, were there any games in particular that that caught your guys' attention? Besides the besides the Sunday night thriller, which we'll get to in a little bit. Any other games that caught your?
The Redskins and the Bengals game, I thought it was a really good, solid effort on both sides of the ball from both teams. Not really like either team really just like making that outstanding performance to really capitalize on the opportunities they were getting. But it was pretty solid game. It was really close, and it ended in overtime. It ended like in a tie, and I thought it was a good game. Like towards like the middle, and then it seemed like everybody else was like not that they weren't trying as hard, but it didn't seem they were trying to get the win. It seems like they were trying to give the fans a show. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Because obviously, like in London, they don't really see a lot of American football, so it seems like they were trying to just keep the game tied to build that suspense, and then give them nothing. Kind of let them just like fall flat in the face. It didn't seem like anybody really like tried to go all out to win the game, in my opinion.
Yeah, 'cause, it ended in a tie. First game in London, where the game ended with a tie, and it's really not fair because the great people of London gave us the Statue of Liberty, and what did we give them in exchange? We gave them the Jacksonville Jaguars and a tie in London. So that's how that game ended. Personally, my game that I loved watching it has to be my Saints play against the Seahawks. That was a great game defensively for New Orleans because they contained a very explosive, dangerous Seattle offense. Seattle only had one offensive touchdown the entire game, and Drew Brees did his part in picking apart a very, very good Seattle. No disrespect to the Seattle defense, it is a very good defense, and Drew Brees, being one of the best quarterbacks, arguably of this time, really picked them apart. And also, I'll give credit to Tim Hightower. If you don't know his story, look it up. It's a very good story. He was a second-round pick for the Cardinals back in 2008. He left for Washington free agency in 2011, tore his ACL. He was out of football for 3 years because he had to continue having knee surgery, and the infections came up after that ACL injury. And he's down in New Orleans last year, and the guy had 100 yards against Seattle. And then, New Orleans had it was a great team victory for the Saints because the offense, the defense, even the special teams all came together. And this team really could be heading in the right direction. So that's my game. So Thomas had the game in Jolly Old between the Skins and the Bengals. My game was New Orleans and Seattle. So Tony, what was your game of the week in your opinion? Really, that really opened your eyes.
I'm gonna have to be biased a little bit and say that my boys, the Dallas Cowboys. Um, just
Boys.
because, I didn't get to watch all that game, but like if you watch the highlights, go back and watch it, you see that Dak Prescott, yeah, he made all these mistakes, but he came back. Led that team to that victory. He stayed focused. He was what's the word I'm looking for? He had his composure. That's it. Um, and he just stayed focused and like didn't worry about the mistakes he made. He moved past them. He just wanted to fix them. And that's exactly what you want from a quarterback. And you get excited from like a win like that. Because Philly is a very honestly they're a very good team. They're I'm not gonna lie. Uh, honestly, they're a playoff contender team, but you know, the Cowboys just came in and were able to finish the job. And that's what I really liked watching was being able to come from our defense, pulling together and not really giving up and just dominating it. Like they
Mhm.
whenever their name was called upon, they got it done. Like they got the plays they needed to, you know, ensure that the offense got the ball back and gave them good field position. It was just it was everything that you wanted.
Yeah, then talk about finishing the game. That was an issue for the Cowboys last year. Was really because they had some close games last year that they could have won, and they didn't finish it. And then to see them
It's
last
because you had Matt Castle.
Matt Castle, Kellen Moore, Brandon Wheat. It didn't matter.
Um,
Quarterback play killed the Cowboys last year, but all
it's true. It's true.
yeah, it really is. I mean, y'all hate Romo now, or y'all hated Romo then, but y'all realize how much you need him now. Cause you used to need him because Dak's probably gonna win the job. But anyway, so I'll talk about the game from what I saw. It was a classic Eagle Cowboy division game. Prime time game. Both teams really came out, and man, I think my player of the game. Honestly, I think it has to be Dak because, like Tony said, he made some rookie mistakes early in that game. The pick in the end zone before halftime, and he made some very just awful decisions in the third quarter, throwing the football. And then talk about the fourth quarter when he really came alive. Uh, he stayed cool and calm. He wasn't under pressure or anything like that. And I mean, it's just crazy to think that a year ago this was a what a 4-12 team.
4-12.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
4-12 team last year, and really the pieces have stayed mostly. It's just a couple players like that defense really has stayed the same the last couple of years. That defense, they're playing lights out now defensively. I give them credit; they're playing lights out defense. And then in that game, you saw how much of a help Dez Bryant was back to this offense. I think everyone was questioning, would Dez fit back with the offense, because they're winning without
Yeah.
Dez. And Dez went on had 4 catches for like 130 yards and that touchdown in the fourth quarter to help send the game in overtime. And then Dak was 5 for 5 in overtime. That touchdown to Witten. It just showed me Dak's the real deal because when you need him in the clutch moments, he comes in clutch. And it was a good win for the Cowboys last night. It really
Yeah.
made a statement to the NFL, if you ask me.
And I said something about it. I was talking to you guys last week, and I said that Des Bryant will not make an impact in this game unless he feels the need to, and it seemed like he felt the need to. Coming back it felt like he had to prove himself. It felt like this was the young Des Bryant that we had in like 2010. It felt like that was him trying to improve himself, and he did. And then watching Prescott play, it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to like comprehend in your mind and fathom that this guy is a rookie because he doesn't play like one. He really doesn't. He plays like maybe like a 5-year veteran because he's composed. He's not panicking. And honestly, when people say he makes rookie mistakes, I don't really consider them rookie mistakes. I consider them common mistakes that any quarterback could have and would have made. So honestly, I think he's playing really good football. I think that he's on fire, and the thing is he's doing really well is staying focused. He's staying on top of the agenda that the Cowboys have. and that's just trying to get wins. And he's being patient in the pocket. If he has to leave the pocket, he'll do that. He won't necessarily run for it all the time. He'll try to run around, look for a receiver, and then if he can't find one, then he'll run. And that's the good thing about him is that he can throw and he can pass. He's not very accurate, as you saw in Sunday's game. He's not too accurate. A couple underthrown balls to Des Bryant, a couple overthrown. Um, but I think he's a really solid quarterback. I think he's the future of this team. Of course, when after Tony Romo is gone, I think this is the quarterback that the Cowboys will have to lean on.
Right, yeah, and so as we mentioned before, Dak. I think this was a good wake up call for Dak Prescott because you finally face a good defense at the Eagles, and they had him for 3 quarters. They had Dak's number for 3 quarters, and when he needed to be clutch for the Cowboys, he came through, and it was a great thing to watch because I think you saw Dak grow and develop as a player in that game on Sunday night, which that really impressed me because. Like you, Antonio mentioned, he stayed cool and calm under pressure. He made the right throws in overtime in that fourth quarter, and it set a statement to all 31 other teams that the Cowboys are they're a legit contender this year. They're legit. So that leads to this now. I'll ask you both, and you both give your answer. It's two parts, two part question. The first question is, do you guys think if Dak doesn't win this game? Do you think Romo is the starter next week against Cleveland?
I guess I'll answer.
I
Or do you want to answer, Thomas? Or do you want to?
it doesn't matter who.
I'll
If you
go
want to
first.
choose, flip a coin, flip a finger. Oh.
I'll go first.
All right.
I think if Dak hadn't have won the game, he would have been the starter against Cleveland because, yeah, he might be a little hurt still, but it is Cleveland. I'm not saying we're gonna beat them, but it's more of a weaker team. It's one of those below 500 teams that you want your quarterback, that's been hurt all year to play. It's one of those games, like he gets his rhythm back. That's why he probably would have started if Dak lost.
Okay. Thomas, what's your opinion?
I would have to disagree. I don't.
Whoa.
I'd have to disagree. I don't think that he would have lost his starting job just because of that one game. I mean, Tony Romo has lost a lot of games in overtime or late in the game, and they never thought about replacing him with somebody else. And I don't necessarily think that maybe this isn't the same situation. Of course, it's not because Tony Romo is a top tier quarterback, and but I just think that you can't base it off of just one performance, and that's exactly what happened in Week 1. His first um, season opener performance, and he lost. But they weren't just going to go to the next quarterback, down the depth chart. They stayed with them, and look what happened. He kept getting wins. And I think if he didn't win the game, I think he still would have started because you can't necessarily bring in Tony Romo just yet. No matter if he says he's good, no matter if he says he's healthy, just because he says he's healthy doesn't mean he actually is. Because I know he's eager to get back on that field. I know he's eager to play, and he's gonna have to like keep his mentality in check and just kind of step aside a little bit. And I know he's gonna do what's best for the team because Jerry Jones has said that, and I know Tony Romo is that type of person to say, "Hey, Dak's doing good. Just because he lost us that game doesn't necessarily mean that I should just go in and start. This kid's on fire right now. He's probably the number one rookie in the league. So honestly, if I was Jason Garrett and I saw Dak lose us that game, I wouldn't blame it on him. Things happen. It's a team effort, honestly. So
Yeah. I see where you're coming from. But in the end, the winner is I'd side with Tony and Team Tony Romo in this one. I agree 110%. I think if Dak does lose this game against the Eagles, I do think Romo comes back against Cleveland, who is 0-8, a mess defensively. I think they let Romo come back. He lights it up. The Cowboys right off in the sunset with Tony Romo. And that's what I'm thinking would have happened. So here's the second part of my question. So Dak won the game. Dak's going to start against Cleveland this week, according to Jerry Jones. So do you think Romo comes back at all this season? And if
I'll let beforehand
he,
I'll let Thomas decide because I went first last time.
yes, yeah. So if Dak, since Dak won the game, Dak's starting next week against the Browns. In your opinion, does Tony Romo come back at all this season to play and start?
Yeah, without a doubt. I think that's a pretty clean answer, and yes, because Dak's still a rookie. Maybe he doesn't play like one, but sooner or later you're going to need that veteran playoff experience that Tony Romo has had. Maybe not too much of it, but he still felt that. He still got his foot in the water, and he still knows what it feels like. So I think you're going to need Tony Romo maybe in a playoff game against a really good team, and maybe in the Super Bowl. I'm just like speculating here. Against like a good team like the Patriots or just some AFC team or some NFC team, you're going to need Tony Romo sooner or later. So yes, he comes back this season, but I think it's going to be later down the line towards the playoffs, not necessarily in the season, like this week.
Nice, nice. Tony, you want to respond to that?
Yeah. I mean, like Thomas said, there's a legitimate chance. You want that veteran in there for the playoff run. I do agree with that. But at some point, Dak. What if Dak just goes undefeated the rest of the year? You, do you want to change that? Like, I mean, if it's only lost one game, and that was to the Giants the first game of the year, where your running back, that was your running back's first game. He missed training camp. This was like that was your first game of the year. You can't blame it. You played preseason games, but you never played an NFL game. That was your rookie. That was your rookie game. The rest you play like a true quarterback that's been here and knows what he's doing. And he goes and he only has that one loss under his belt. I mean, I feel like he's ready for playoffs. Maybe if he starts, in the first quarter he starts, throwing like maybe two picks. Yeah, I want Romo in there. But I mean, if Dak just kind of just tears it up, maybe loses one or two games, he could steal that spot easily. But I I wouldn't be surprised if Romo made an appearance, especially in the playoffs.
Okay, okay. And so, Thomas, before I make a decision here, did you want to give us your Mark Sanchez theory with the Cowboys quarterback carousel? You'll give your theory about old Mark.
It's not necessarily a theory. I'd call it more of just a smart decision. A smart decision in what I'd do if I was a coach, if I was leading this team. Um, if something happens to Dak Prescott, and God forbid something does, but let's say he's not playing as good as he should be. Maybe he's not just playing. He's not playing well in these good stretch of games. I'd say you don't put in Tony Romo. You can't risk that. You can't risk his.
Well, you're saying there's another quarterback in Dallas not named Tony Romo on the roster. That's what you're saying.
Yeah. I'm
There is a
saying just
quarterback.
like don't bring in Tony Romo like right now. During like the season. Wait until like playoffs. You should bring in Tony Romo, but just not now. Make sure he's healed because you're gonna need him for playoffs. Definitely, 100%. You're gonna need Tony Romo for the playoffs. But as of right now, you got to put in Mark Sanchez. And a lot of people are going to disagree with that. A lot of people are going to hate on that. A lot of people are going to say, Thomas, you're an idiot. You're stupid. Why would you even say that? But honestly, Mark Sanchez is not a terrible quarterback. He's not a great quarterback. He's not a good quarterback. But honestly, he's a smart quarterback. And I think I think he can make smart decisions. I mean, even if you just stick to the running game, Mark Sanchez doesn't even need to pass the ball. You just stick to the running game. Ezekiel Elliott will tear it up. But Like if something happens to Dak, I think you got to put in Mark Sanchez, save Tony Romo for the playoffs or something like that, or something deeper down the line. Don't risk his health, and don't risk the season and the health and Tony Romo's health. Risk just the season, because a lot of people they're not going to get behind Mark Sanchez. They're going to think, all right, Mark Sanchez is in, the season's done. We're not going to playoffs, we're not going to Super Bowl, this and that. And sure, go ahead, think that. It's your opinion. You're welcome to that. But I don't necessarily agree with that. I think Mark Sanchez will do right by the Cowboys.
Oh, Mark Sanchez. The guys want more playoff games than Tony Romo has, so experience does count.
It's my unpopular opinion. My unpopular opinion.
Yeah, it might be popular to some viewers out there, Thomas. You never know. Maybe someone will come at you on Twitter and agree with you on this.
The football gods just hope they don't kick me out of this.
We'll see what happens later on, buddy. We'll see what happens. So, for the first debate, I sided with Tony, agreeing that Romo would have started if Dak had lost the game. So this time, I'm going to I sided with Thomas simply because I think Dak said it a couple weeks ago to the media. Dak said, "This is Tony's team.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just here to do my part," and I think they still believe that. I think this is still Romo's team, and once Romo is fully healthy and ready to go, I think Romo does come back, and they hold on to Dak, saying, "Don't worry, Dak, you're the future of this franchise."
And that's what I'm saying. You got to have like Tony Romo come back when he's like 150% healthy, not 149%, not 98% from 100, 99% from 100. You got to make sure he's past full health to bring him back. Or you're going to risk something happening.
When he comes back, they're going to say, "Dak, you did an outstanding job. Take a break. Let Romo come back and play. You're the future of this team. So don't worry about right now. We'll let Romo come back and play, and we'll go from there." And I think that's how it's gonna go. I think, but it's the NFL. You never know what's gonna happen.
It's true.
I mean, after all, Trent Richardson worked out today for the Chiefs, so you never know. You never know what's gonna happen in the NFL. And going off of that, never knowing what's gonna happen in the NFL. It's the midway point of the season, week 8. I think we can use the P word around here. The P word being the playoffs.
Oh, okay. Wrong word.
And there are some teams, who might be on the verge of, sneaking in, making a run for the playoff race. Mm-hmm. So we'll go around the table, pick one AFC team and one NFC team who could possibly be a sleeper going towards the playoffs.
I'll let Tony go. We'll take turns.
Tony, kick it off. Pick your AFC NFC playoff sleeper team.
AFC, I'm gonna have to go with Kansas City because it was and it's because honestly I've always had this special place in my heart for Kansas City. I've always had this thing, like, I don't know why, I've always loved Jamal Charles. When they got Jeremy Maclin, I was so happy because he was an Eagle and he was good. So now he's on a different team, and and I just want the Chiefs to succeed because on paper they have all these weapons and they just don't succeed. But I think now they have Andy Reid. They have these players. They have they have 3 running backs. 2 of them are hurt, but they still have these 3 running backs that are very consistent. They're very consistent. I wouldn't say they're great. Like Jamal Charles is good. He's just riddled with injuries. Spencer Ware, good running back, very solid, and you got Kendrick West, who is very solid as well. The O-line, solid. You can't complain. He protects the quarterback. You have Alex Smith, who's actually a very good quarterback. Well, I wouldn't say very good. He's a good quarterback. He's very underrated.
I would say he's very good.
I wouldn't say he's like. It's on the verge. It's one of those, like, he's good. I just can't put him at like Drew Brees, Tom Brady. That's what I consider very good.
He's next tier.
Yeah, he's just right there. Okay. Even though he is hurt, Nick Foles, I think, can get the job done. He threw over 200 yards and still got a touchdown. He still helped them win that game. So I think that's Nick Foles actually found his place in Kansas City. I'm not saying he's gonna take the job necessarily, but he's
Fill
getting
in.
that backup reps in. He's getting those snaps, and he's proven he's not a bad quarterback. And the defense, Tom Bahali, Dantari Poe, Justin Houston's might come back this week. You have
Eric
David
Berry.
Johnson, or not David Johnson. Whoa, Derek Johnson.
Whoa. Wrong.
Um, and then you have named Marcus Peters, right?
Yes.
Eric Berry.
And you got Eric Berry. You just got you. This is like over half of the defense. They're all good. They're all easily Pro Bowl players.
And
That's like you can't go wrong. So
Yeah.
I think they can sneak into the playoffs.
this team is so good that the big boys score touchdowns. If you saw a couple weeks ago, Dontari Poe
Oh hell
actually
yes.
scored the touchdown against Oakland on a little
2 weeks
screen
ago?
pass. Yeah, 2 weeks ago. That was the moment for all of us big boys watching Dontari play. And one guy you didn't mention, Tony, I think people should take a look at is Tyreek Hill, the rookie wide receiver, undrafted out of Western Alabama. He's off to a great start in his career. He has, I believe, four receiving touchdowns already. I think he's a great kid, and he is he returns punts and kickoffs, and he does the reverses, the end rounds. He's a good receiver that you have to keep an eye on as well. So yeah, Tyreek Hill, keep an eye on that kid. So give us your NFC team, Tony. As we know, the AFC is a lot more competitive as of right now. So the NFC, it's hard to find a sleeper when everyone is below 500.
Mm-hmm.
Very
And
hard.
if they're not, they're really good. Like Cowboys, Except for Seattle, that one's the one. That's the one team that's above 500. That's actually not that good. So my sleeper is gonna be in that division. It's gonna be
The
Arizona.
Rams. Not. Oh, dang. Thought it was the Niners.
Uh,
Sorry.
After you said the Rams, I thought it was the Niners.
I thought it was
um,
Chip Kelly, Colin Kaepernick. Oh well.
So I say this because you have Carson Palmer, who's actually not a bad quarterback. I think he's a pretty good quarterback. Even though isn't he hurt right now?
Yeah, he's playing hurt, but I mean he had a solid game against Carolina. Almost came back and won it actually, but just ran out of time.
You have Arizona, who's a very solid. They have a solid O line. They have a good quarterback. They have honestly probably the best running back in the league, David Johnson, who I said earlier.
True. Sorry to disagree.
I love Ezekiel Elliott. Have him on fantasy. He's on my team, but I think David Johnson he gets like 36% of the points for Arizona. That is their team. That is their face of their team. This is his second year playing, and he's just tearing it up. So he's very consistent. So
I'm so glad I got him in fantasy.
then I have Larry Fitzgerald at receiver. Old, but he is very consistent, very solid. You can never go wrong with Larry Fitzgerald. And you have Michael Floyd, great second receiver, and John Brown, is it?
John Brown,
Yeah.
third receiver.
He's another good, solid receiver. They got a good receiver core. And defense, they lost Tyrann Mathieu this week. I forgot what happened to him. He's out for a little bit, right?
Shoulder injury. They say he's out for 2 to 6 weeks.
Yeah, I saw something with 6 weeks in there.
6 weeks.
But you still have Patrick Peterson, very good corner. Deion Buchanan, who actually plays middle linebacker, and he looks like a safety.
He's very versatile for the Cardinals. He can play both. Very versatile.
You have Khalil Campbell, who is this giant man. Like, God, that dude looks like a basketball player on that field, but he's not bad. And the defense is just very solid. I think they can easily win that. They can honestly win that division, especially if Seattle's the team to beat in that division, because you don't really have to worry about the Niners. The Rams may be a little bit competitive, but nothing you have to worry about. But I think Seattle's the only one you have to worry about, and that's not too much worrying you're going to be doing there.
Yeah,
true.
definitely. I mean, these guys tied 2 weeks ago at 6-6, but one Cardinal that you didn't mention that I'm surprised you didn't was the new guy, Chandler Jones, the guy they traded for from New England. Surprisingly, the Patriots gave him up to the Cardinals, and man, he is a stud pass rusher. So yeah, Arizona, I can definitely see being a sleeper right now because they are below 500. But Chiefs, Cardinals, I'm sold. Solid picks, Tony. Solid. All right, Thomas, did you want to give it a whirl, or do you want me to go ahead and give my two really quick?
I'm gonna let you go first. You
Okay.
never get the opportunities to go first, so I'm gonna let you go first.
Aw, thanks, bud. So, start off in the AFC. My team. I think this team technically shouldn't be a sleeper, but they are below 500, and that is the Cincinnati Bengals. Uh, they're behind Pittsburgh right now. Steelers are 4-3. I mean, the offense alone is full of playmakers. You got Andy Dalton, the quarterback. AJ Green, in my opinion, probably be behind Julio, best receiver in football right now. You could probably make that argument. Behind Julio, he's the best receiver in the NFL. Tyler
Mhm.
Eifert came back finally from his ankle injury. Had over 100 yards and a touchdown in London. They have two of the better duo running backs in being Jeremy Hill, Giovanni Bernard, and that offense just stacked all around. And then how about the defense? You throw in it's mixed with veterans. You got vets like Ray Maluga, DeMonte Pecco, and Pac-Man Jones. But you mix in the young guys. You got guys like George Akula, the strong safety for them. DeQuiz Denard, first round pick a couple years ago, is finally healthy and has having a solid year. And then you bring in Carlos Dunlap, Geno Atkins. This defense also, honestly, just like the Chiefs, full of Pro Bowlers and playmakers, and they can get on fire anytime. But the only problem with them is they got to win a playoff game. That is the thing with the Bengals. They just need to win a playoff game. Just one. Something, a wild card game. It doesn't matter. They just got to win one. And so, um, my NFC team, I'm actually biased here a little bit. Um, I think after the win against Seattle, I think I am sold on New Orleans for possibly clinching that last wild card spot or even winning the division, in all honesty, because the NFC South has always been up for grabs every year except for last year. That was Carolina. But other than that, every year it's been up for grabs. I look at New Orleans. Offensively, probably, in my opinion, the best offense in football right now is the Saints. You have Drew Brees. Um,
Wow.
I think they're the best. I think the way they execute and with the players they have,
You
they
said in
make
all of football and all of the
yeah.
NFL.
I'll make an argument they're the best offense in football right now.
Okay.
Give me Tom Brady. I'll make an argument. Give me the Patriots. I'll
All right.
fight you.
Just because I want to actually hear you give the argument, I'll throw in Tom Brady. Just
Well,
I want to actually hear what you have. So.
I got you.
Um,
Thomas, at the end of the show, before we sign off today, I'll give you the argument that you've been waiting
okay.
for.
All right.
So with New Orleans, you look at the trio of receivers: Brandon Cooks, Willie Snead, Michael Thomas. Michael Thomas, in my opinion, the best rookie wide receiver in all football right now. The best, no doubt. And then you get them three put together with Drew Brees and this solid offensive line that really was struggling in the preseason that everyone had concerns about. Bringing back Jari Evans was a smart move on Sean Payton and Mickey Loomis's part. And when we talk about the Saints, it's never the offense to worry about. It's always the defense, and the defense in New Orleans has been pretty bad for past couple of years. But this year is different because they found when injuries hit them, they found good players and B.W. Webb and Sterling Moore, guys who stepped up, who played well really for their their what they're known for being backup corners. And I love the three safety system they have with Von Bell, Kenny Vaccaro and Jarius Byrd, all three of them playing together is just a solid game plan they have. And in my opinion, two of the best defensive signings in free agency will be Nick Fairley and Craig Robertson. Both of those players have paid off well for New Orleans, and I think you get the Niners this week. He could be 4-4 at the halfway point. He could really make a push to beat out Atlanta, definitely for that division. So those are my two teams, New Orleans and the Bengals. My two teams.
All right.
So yeah, so wrap it up. We got Tony picking the Chiefs and the Cardinals. I got New Orleans and Cincinnati. So Thomas, now it is your turn, old friend.
Oh, okay.
So give
All
us
right.
your two sleepers.
All right. So first one, I'm gonna have to go with Tennessee, just because
Ooh.
I like this team. On paper, they should be doing a lot more than they are, but they're not. They have Derrick Henry, they have Marcus Mariota, they have DeMarco Murray, who is probably, arguably, one of the top 3 best rushers in the NFL today. And you got Kendall Wright, who had a huge game against Jacksonville. I think this team is really, really good. Like in my personal opinion, I think this team is really, really good, and they should be a lot better. They just got to have they have to find their stride. Um, and then as for the NFC, I have to go with the Giants because this team is actually a really good playoff contender. They have OBJ, former Rookie of the Year. They got Sterling Shepard, who is in the run for Rookie of the Year. Honestly, he's a really good rookie wide receiver. You got Victor Cruz, Rashad Jennings, who isn't doing too well, but he should be. Shane Vereen is obviously on IR, and then there's another running back I just can't come to think of the name for some reason. But you got like an elite quarterback like Eli Manning, and plus the defense, who is honestly it's a really good defense. Of course, leading
Defense.
defense.
That's what you said. You're like defense.
Oh, alrighty. Thanks for interrupting me.
You're welcome.
Um, who's actually getting led by DRC, and DRC is really, really good in my opinion. I think he's been making a whole bunch of plays, and this team is in the run. I don't really want to admit it, but this team could be in the run um, to against Dallas for the number 1 spot in the East.
Ooh, I like it. Okay, so quick recap. Tony picked the Kansas City Chiefs and the Arizona Cardinals. I chose the New Orleans Saints and the Cincinnati Bengals. Thomas chose the Tennessee Titans and the New York Giants. So let me just say, Thomas, I like your Titans as a sleeper. That is a very good football team, in my opinion. Also, I think they could make a run. I think, and it's really ironic that you mentioned Tennessee because the number 1 rusher in the NFL right now is Ezekiel Elliott of the Dallas Cowboys, right?
Mm-hmm.
Take a guess who the number 2 rusher is right now.
Is it DeMarco Murray?
Yeah, it's very ironic. It is DeMarco Murray after he stunk in Philly last year. I'm just glad DeMarco found his footing and he's got a good thing in
And
Tennessee.
honestly, like it's been mentioned before that I think Chip Kelly was the head coach last year for the Philly, right?
Yeah.
They mentioned that Chip Kelly didn't necessarily want DeMarco Murray. He just wanted to be able to take
From
that
Dallas.
star player from Dallas,
Yeah.
and it kind of showed that DeMarco Murray didn't really want to be there.
Yeah.
He just kind of wanted more money. I think Dallas probably should have given it to him, but of course, Jerry Jones is a businessman. So, but then like you said, he's found his footing in Tennessee, and honestly, he can do big things there. He's
Yeah, and then the other thing is, did y'all know rumor had it that originally after Philly was going to release DeMarco Murray, he had talked to the Cowboys and they had agreed on a deal to come back to Dallas after Philly cut him. But when Philly found out, Philly did not want to risk that happening, so they traded him out of the conference, out of the conference, just to be sure DeMarco would not come back to the Cowboys, which led to the trade with the Titans. So shows you how much Philly fears DeMarco Murray, and I would too. That is one big man that you do not want to get in the way of. I will say that, to be the
Oh yeah.
least. Yeah, definitely. So, um, and what I want to bring up next, uh, every year in the NFL, there are those guys, those guys that come out of nowhere and just light up the scoreboard. And you're
Oh
like,
yeah.
where did he come from? So it's like
Mhm.
I want us to bring up one player who,
Each.
each one player, the one
Okay.
player who really is a breakout star who is coming into his own this year. So who
Okay.
wants to start off?
You can start off, Alec.
Okay. I'll let you guys think about it. So I'll start off.
Yeah,
Mine,
I still got to think about it a little bit.
mine really, uh, is a no-brainer here. I'm gonna once again be a tad biased with this one. I'm picking Michael
I
Thomas.
knew it. Sorry,
Michael Thomas.
I knew it.
Tony, did you know that one too?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, the kid's a second-round pick from Ohio State. He leads rookies in receiving yards, receptions, and in touchdowns right now. And when I think of a young Marcus Colston, but the difference is Colston's rookie year, finished the year with 70 catches for like 1,039 yards and 8 or 9 touchdowns. Michael Thomas is on pace to finish with 100 receptions for his rookie year, 1,182 yards, and 10 touchdowns. And I think that could really happen because this kid, with Drew Brees at quarterback, he's gonna put up numbers regardless. But he's got something going for him, and I'm glad we took him in the second round because this kid is a stud. He went up against Richard Sherman last week and got the best of Sherman when they were 1-on-1. So Michael Thomas is my breakout player that the NFL should fear, and definitely keep an eye out for that guy.
All right. So I guess I'll go next. Um. I'm not necessarily being biased with this choice. I just think that he didn't really he wasn't really a star in my opinion. Like in my eyes, I didn't really see him as a big threat. But he's small, he's elusive, and I got to go with Cole Beasley to be honest. Um, I didn't last year. I didn't really see him as a really good player in the Dallas offense. I thought he was good. I really did, but I didn't think like he was that good. And then when there was rumors about him leaving towards the end of the season, um, last year. I think it was like nearing towards training camp or something like that, and he decided to come back. I don't know. I guess him and Dak Prescott kind of clicked or something like that, and now just Cole Beasley, he's kind of like lighting up the boards. I think he's actually. Correct me if I'm wrong, because I may be. I think he's actually leading Dallas in most touchdown receptions. Am I wrong?
Uh,
I think you're right.
yeah, I mean,
And honestly, I just didn't expect that out of him. And then when it actually when he just kept on coming, I was like, wow, this Cole Beasley something else. Honestly,
yeah, talk about when Dez went down and Terrence Williams, didn't go out of bounds. It
he just wasn't producing.
really hurt his popularity probably with Dak Prescott. He really just found Cole Beasley. Every other play, it looked like the ball was going to him. And I'll never forget that Packer game when he ruined the young corner's career when he broke his ankles.
And then I don't know if you saw it, but while Terrence Williams was running down the sideline, you saw Jason Witten towards the bottom of the screen pointing out of bounds to run out of bounds, and Terrence Williams actually did it. Because it was like the second quarter was almost over. The first half was like almost done, and I just like on the bottom of the screen, bottom left, I just see Jason Witten pointing towards the sideline, like run out of bounds. I just thought it was kind of funny. They might still be holding a grudge on him about that.
Terrence Williams, I think we can all agree, Terrence Williams is the best chest catcher in the NFL. Most
Sometimes he doesn't even catch it.
the best chess catcher because whenever me and Tony are out playing football or watching football, we see a player catch the chest and we're like, oh, Terrence Williams catch. Isn't that right, Tony?
Mm-hmm.
And every time I see him catch it with his hands, I'm just like, what? He caught it with his hands? What? No, it's impossible.
It is impossible. It's the government
Conspiracy.
overriding our brains and making us think he caught it with his hands, but he really didn't. That's just my theory. All right, Tony, why don't you give us your breakout player of 2016?
Oh, I'm still thinking about it. There's like a lot that I came
Yeah, I
out of
had a
nowhere.
few.
There's a good amount. Um, I want to go with Dak Prescott just because he was such a low draft pick. But if you look, preseason, everybody, fell in
Yeah,
love with him, so you can't really, put him in there. Um, I think I'm gonna go with Sterling Shepard. I think.
he was one of mine too.
Yeah,
Oh,
because they got him in the which round? I think it was the second round.
second round, yeah.
Out of OU, and he's that receiving core. Like everybody was like, they knew it was gonna be like, there's something like he's good, but like he kind of like he went above and beyond expectations, and that's why that receiver core is just scary. You got Victor Cruz, Odell, and Sterling Shepard. And he just fits perfectly there. Um, any passing, like he just fit well. And I'm not just saying just because they're a pass happy offense. It's just it's Odell is fairly young. Victor Cruz might be a little bit old, but he can. They have this kind, I guess, a chemistry. They have a bond. They're able to work off that. So I think I could say Sterling Shepard's my breakout player. But I was debating on saying Marvin Jones.
Nice. No, I mean both of them were solid. I think Marvin really came in his own simply because of Stafford. Calvin's gone. You
Golden Tate is inconsistent a lot of the time. So
yeah. So you just throw it. You just like you Marvin Jones it now instead of Calvin. You just Marvin Jones it.
it's,
I think that's what you
and
can.
it's kind of sad that like since he let him go, like he's a very good receiver.
Yeah, he was a good receiver. Just that, and they had AJ Green, Muhammad Sanu. They had so many players.
But they got rid of both of Sanu and
Yeah,
Marvin Jones. It's that's just crazy.
yeah, most
Three of them, like
definitely.
just those three would have been scary. God.
Yeah, so uh, and then we all go offense here. Interesting. No one picked the defensive player who broke out. I can't even think of one off the top of my head, to be honest. I think we all just like offensive players scoring points and making ridiculous catches.
Yeah, I was like, now you got me thinking.
Yeah, I can't even think of one off the top
I
of my head.
mean, to be honest, Mo
Ah,
Claiborne,
Morris Claiborne,
Yeah,
yeah, perfect.
like
yeah.
he wasn't necessarily like high up everybody's hopes and expectations, but he's been doing well.
Yeah, most definitely. And so with this segment, we all go receivers here. Me selecting Michael Thomas as my breakout player, Thomas picking Cole Beasley, and then Tony going with Sterling Shepard of the Giants. So, really quick, guys, you guys have seen Fox, Fox NFL pregame, right?
Mm-hmm.
Jimmy Johnson and Strahan and all those people.
Hmm.
Yep.
We're gonna copy them a little bit here, but we're not gonna trademark it or anything. So what we're gonna do the same way they pick football games. So where it's two teams you pick one as a lock, which means it's a guaranteed win, and then you pick your upset team. And so we'll hold the records accountable here. And then at the end of the season, winner will probably get bragging rights over the rest of us. Will call us losers on air.
Loser.
Yeah, we'll go with that. So, do you guys already have your picks in mind, or do you mean go on the
Yeah,
spot?
I got mine.
Tony, you got your picks locked?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's start it off. Tony, start us off here. Give us your lock and your upset pick for this week, week
Well,
9.
My lock is gonna be Cleveland against Dallas. And Dallas is proving itself that it is a great team. It can hang with it stayed on top of the power rankings for like every week basically. So I'm gonna have to log Dallas in as that dub.
All
Not gonna
right.
be cocky, but I have to lock that down. That's gonna be
All
out of
right.
all the games.
Sounds fair.
And my upset is gonna be Oakland beating Denver.
Oh, that's definitely gonna be a great game to watch on Sunday night.
Especially because Derek Carr threw 510 yards, 4 touchdowns with 0 picks.
Yeah,
It might have been against Tampa Bay,
but
but I
still,
mean, that's
five
Even
picks.
then, that's pretty impressive.
that's like rookie, like playing on rookie mode. Like
And
that's what you see on rookie mode.
you talk about that, and the Raiders had like 23 penalties in that game, and Derek Carr still did all that and won the game. More importantly,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, so that's definitely a good lock and upset. That's a safe lock, if anything, going against the winless Browns. So Thomas, crack at it, man. Give us your picks.
All right, so my upset's going to be the Detroit Lions upsetting the Vikings,
Oh,
and the reason is because I really love what they're doing in Detroit. I really love Matthew Stafford, Theo Riddick, Golden Tate, and then Marvin Jones. I think they're all just contributing in a really good way, and I don't think that the Vikings are they kind of dug themselves into a hole, and I think they're still going to be digging for a little bit. I don't think they're going to be able to
get out of the
come
hole.
back and get like a win streak back, especially against the Lions, who aren't necessarily a really good team, but I think they're a good enough team to put down the Vikings. So that's my upset. And then a lock is going to be the Buffalo Bills versus the Seahawks. I think that the Bills are a really good team. Um, I'm really loving Tyrod Taylor. I'm really high on him, and they have a really good running core. Some people might not believe it, but it's really good. They have LaShawn McCoy who starts. They have Jilsky, and then they got Reggie Bush,
Reggie
and
Bush.
and honestly, if LaShawn McCoy gets hurt, which he has, Mike can just go in and just not necessarily tear it up, but he can be he's reliable. And the same thing with Reggie Bush. He's reliable if Gillislee just goes out. So honestly, I'm really loving everything down there. So I think it's a lock that they're gonna beat Seattle.
I feel like if Buffalo wins, since Buffalo is based in New York and Trump Tower is based in New York, and it's the night before the election begins, I think if Buffalo wins, I think Trump wins the election. That's what I really think
All
about
right, so Seattle wins. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
that.
No,
Yeah,
but I
I,
really think they're going to win. Russell Wilson hasn't really been leading his team too well, and so
I,
I think that the Bills are going to capitalize that. And the Bills are a really good team. They have a really good defense, so I think they'll be able to pick apart Seattle,
yeah,
even with Seattle's defense and Richard Sherman, Earl Thomas, and then Cam Chancellor. So
yeah, and then so just a quick point on both those teams that you pick. I think, in all honesty, Minnesota, I cannot take them seriously as a playoff team unless they fix the offensive line. Because I mean, Sam Bradford isn't the best in quarterbacks, but if you don't give him a line, it makes him only look worse, and he can't do anything, you know.
hmm
So, and then with the Bills, Tony, you heard Thomas mention about Reggie Bush. Is there anything you want to tell them, the viewers, about last night on Twitter about Reggie Bush and what happened?
Um, I mean, this is okay. Reggie Bush. I remember Reggie Bush being in New Orleans. Being the small little guy. Small little quick back. I see a picture of this dude. He has biceps bigger than my freaking head. Like this guy, it looks like he couldn't. He'd only juke people out, man. This guy looks like he is. Like when he stiff arms you, you broke your neck. Like this guy's biceps are gigantic. I'm like, how is he not a starter?
and he's
This,
still smaller than LaShawn McCoy.
yeah, he's
That's the
probably.
That's the
Yeah,
crazy
what? How
thing.
tall is he? He's like 5'8", right?
Yeah, I think
He's
so.
he's freaking.
Reggie. I'd say let's find out really quick. We got the time. Reggie Bush is approximately Let's see. They give us height.
6 foot. He's 6 foot.
6
6 foot.
foot.
That's a lie.
I feel
That's
like
a
Actually,
lie.
he's taller than LaShawn McCoy, is what it says. LaShawn McCoy is 5'11".
I feel like Reggie Bush is being a little boosted there, but I'm not gonna say anything.
Honestly, he probably just looks shorter than LaShawn McCoy is because like he's not as buff and like big as LaShawn. So
I
I
don't know. That
think
picture,
maybe
he looked buff.
not as buff as Shady.
Man, but yeah, so I'll go into depth with mine. My lock is going to be New Orleans against San Francisco simply because the Niners cannot stop anyone running the ball. They've allowed a league high 184 yards per game, and
It's pretty good.
Tim Hightower just finished a 100-yard game against the Seahawk defense. I'm expecting at least 300 yards against the Niner defense. Tim, counting on you, man. So
Tim?
that's my lock. Okay, please stop. And so my upset is going to be the New York Giants taking on the Eagles. I picked the Giants in the upset simply because you saw the way Dak was throwing the ball in the second half, where Dez Bryant got the best of the Eagles defenders. I think you get Eli, Odell Beckham, Victor Cruz, Sterling Shepard. You get all of them involved in the passing game. They can pick apart the Eagle defense. So yeah, that's my sleeper, the Giants.
All right.
Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. So Thomas's upset will be Detroit over Minnesota. His lock is going to be
Buffalo, Seattle.
Buffalo over Seattle. Tony's lock is the Cowboys over the Browns. His upset is the Raiders over the Broncos. And then my picks were the New Orleans Saints in my lock, and I got the Giants over the Eagles in an upset. And yeah, so that's pretty much. Oh no, Thomas, I forgot we have our little argument here.
Oh,
Right.
it's just mostly because you've mentioned the Saints so many times during this episode.
Hey man, I mean I gotta represent 4-3 pride. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I'll just throw this out there for you right now. Since Drew Brees came to New Orleans in 06, the Saints have been number one in passing offense, passing touchdowns. Pretty much every offensive stat belongs to New Orleans. Drew Brees holds the NFL record for highest completion percentage, most 300-yard games by a quarterback. He is third in passing yards and touchdowns, which it means he's in front of Tom Brady. That is my argument I give to you, good sir.
You want me to
I
you want me to
mean,
disprove your argument?
Don't say it through. Don't say the Super Bowls. Don't say the Super Bowls because
Tom Brady was out the first, like 4 games, right? Their first few games of this season. So I mean, of course, Drew Brees already has an advantage, and then Tom Brady just comes back and then just tears it up.
So is Drew. So is Drew. Drew's tearing it up too.
I mean, yeah, but
I mean, look. All I'm gonna say is, I'll take Breeze over Brady. You can add me on Twitter, quote me saying that because it is true. I take Drew Brees.
all right, I will.
AA
I'm gonna do it
Solace
right now.
9.
Actually,
If you want to add me, it's
I'm doing it right now.
It's AA.
Oh, I know it. I know it. I know it.
I'm letting them know what it is. AA Solace 98. Add me. Drew Brees over Tom Brady. I'm taking him any day of the week.
No, you're crazy.
And then before we go, we'll leave some quick injury updates from the Dallas Cowboys. Just came in a couple minutes ago. Barry Church, the safety, is out for 2 to 5 weeks with a broken forearm. So expect J.J. Wilcox and Jeff Heath to share time at free safety. I'm sorry, strong safety. Also, Mo Claiborne is out for a month to 6 weeks with a sports hernia injury. So it's a good thing Orlando Scancher came back in time. And one more note: Percy Harvin came out of retirement today. Re-signed with the Bills, so we'll see how long he stays unretired. And then that's really it we got, guys. We'll catch you next week. What's this? Oh, Thomas really added me on Twitter.
Oh yeah, I want everybody to pick you apart and say how stupid you are.
Nah, we'll see what happens. But anyways, guys, check us out. Pro Football Talk on the Beanbag Warriors channel. It is literally called Beanbag Warriors. It's not hard to look up or spell. Leave your comments in the comments section. Ask us football questions, anything. We will respond. We'll catch you guys next week. This is Tony, Alec, and Thomas on Pro Football Talk.